Hello, how is it going? I'm just going to play that one again just while waiting for people to come back on. So obviously this is the cover reveal. Hello, welcome back. So that is the cover reveal for, as we already know, for Solitude Shadow, which is out very, very soon. It's like the 14th of May already. Where is this year going at all? And it's out the 4th of June. I've been getting some reviews for it already so far. So at the moment we've got 3 reviews on Goodreads, all 5 stars, which is great. One of them said they were moved to tears when they read it by the end, but they gave it 5 stars, so it must be good tears, because if it was like moved to tears because this is so goddamn awful, it probably would not have been 5 stars. So that's encouraging. So hopefully, it said people are reviewing it at the moment. There's ARC reviewers and there's a few websites that and bloggers and what have you that have got copies of it. They're reading it, so it's quite nerve-wracking waiting for them to come in, but you know, it's fun as well just to kind of see people reading it and kind of what they think of it and everything while I'm working on the sequel, which I will be revealing the title for at some point in this live stream. So if you want to guess what it is, go ahead and put in the comments. I'll tell you, it's 3 words, like how in Solitude Shadow is 3 words. It's the same I'm trying to keep it 3 words for each title. So yeah, have a guess and see. Any other comments, any questions about the series or whatever, pop them into the thing and we'll have a look at it. So before we start reading the prologue, I'm going to run that trailer one more time. So that is where you can pre-order it as well, if you want to. Also, I'm going to be doing signed copies of it. I know some people have already reached out and told me that they want one. If you want one, then, you know, when you haven't already told me, then tell me and I'll put you on the list. Chris was in time for the popcorn, very good for the opening credits. There's something shitty about that chap. Unfortunately, that is not the title for the next book, but I'll try to work that line in to the book at some point if I can. Maybe I could. Although shit is a banned word, I think in Helpbelt, unfortunately. In Belgium's shadow. Wow. Does Belgium cast a shadow? Does it cast a long shadow? Who knows? That is not the title. There's no shadow in the title for this one, for this next one. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Right, so I'm going to start reading this young prologue. So this prologue was actually, I've done some work on the book, obviously, once it's going to go into editing and stuff, but in terms of like the main manuscript of it, this was the last thing that I wrote. Yeah, it's set 2,000 years before the main story. It's kind of just what this is. It's kind of a setup for the overall kind of arc of the trilogy and what you can kind of expect. And it kind of gives you some like information and other things like that might help you when you're reading the book about what's going on. So the prologue is called "The Seeds of Ruin." Jacob thrust his blade into the blood-soaked soil and leaned on the pommel. The screams of the dying filled his ears. The stench of the dead made him gag. Smoke rose as he peered across the battlefield. "We've won," he muttered, shaking his head, sweat stinging his eyes. How? Hours before, they had hidden behind Springhaven's walls, brittle walls, cowering beneath the protection of their sparkers as the first people sent wave after wave of magic users to annihilate them. The war against the rulers of Houtveld had stretched into its second full year. It had seemed like a battle that humans and their elven allies couldn't win. Humans and elves were united in their belief that magic was a rare and sacred gift from the gods Race and Janna. But every soul in the First People's army possessed magical energy. They wielded their savage power without mercy. They obliterated settlements filled with innocent men, women, and children, and they revelled in the carnage. Then the First People moved on to the next village, and the next, and the next. When the First People's mages had overpowered their sparkers, when Springhaven's walls had fallen to roaring flame and sundered earth, Jacob had turned to the soldiers around him, men and women he'd known all his life, hoping to give them one last rallying cry, to call on them to die with honour, to make Race and Janna, their gods, proud. The words had died on his lips. The First People hadn't attacked. They hadn't done anything. Instead, confused cries rang out like 100,000 gongs sounding at once. Jacob, a cough and the crunch of gravel sounded behind him. "Is that you?" "Aye, Bayer," he replied. "Well met." Jacob made no attempt to hide his weariness. He glanced over his shoulder and offered the other man a tired smile. "Glad you're still alive," Bayer said, laying a hand on Jacob's shoulder. His knees almost buckled. It felt like a butterfly would knock him down. "Can't believe any of us are." "The elves, how did they fare?" They had rallied first and charged. The First People's slaves had delivered centuries of hate onto their former masters with arrow, blade, and spell. Jacob's soldiers had followed, and the day turned red. Bayer hocked and spat on a corpse nearby, dressed in the uniform of a First People captain. Otherwise it was unidentifiable, hacked to bloody pieces. "More of them alive than you'd expect," he muttered. "There'll be trouble, you know. Now we've won, and they're free. They won't serve anyone again." Jacob glanced at him as he wiped a hand across his eyes, smearing crimson on his face. "And why should they?" Jacob asked with a frown. "They're just people, like anyone else. They fought alongside us, died too. How many millions? Dead." "Pah," Bayer spat again. Jacob forced down the urge to crack him across the jaw. The day already held too much violence. "You think elves are people? Look around, Jacob. Look at what they did to their masters the moment they shook off the leash. We may have won here today, but they'll do the same to us, mark my words. They're animals, wild animals, and they need to be tamed. It's all they're good for." "How can you be sure we've won?" Jacob asked. He gained nothing by challenging the rest. He admired the elves, marvelling at their resolve and ingenuity in the face of oppression and persecution. Grateful for their kinship in battle, Jacob knew many humans still didn't trust them. Worse, so many hated them, thought they were just a step above a beast of burden. But Jacob had hope. Humans would come to understand and live alongside elves. The First People's prejudice couldn't last forever. The enemy broke, Bayer breathed, pointing deeper into the smoke with his mace. Blood dripped from its end. "We were losing the battle, Jacob. Then it turned into a massacre. They offered little resistance. It's like they laid down to die on our weapons." A high-pitched laugh snagged Jacob's attention. Pushing off his blade and sheathing it, he moved towards the sound, stepping through the jumble of corpses. Bayer followed. The battle's heat had left his body, and Jacob shivered from the sudden chill. He knew he needed to eat, to sleep, to regain his strength, but there wouldn't be time for hours yet. First he'd scour the field, committing the faces of the dead to his memory. Then he'd mourn. The laughter grew louder, the shrill sound tinged with madness. Through the smoke, Jacob spied a figure sitting on a rock, back turned. Wind tugged at their cloak. "An elf," Bayer grunted, a dark look in his deep-set eyes, and his grip tight around his mace. Jacob nodded and stepped forward. "Friend, what's so funny?" "Not a day for humour, I'd say." The laughter continued, as if the elf didn't even know they were there. Bayer pushed Jacob aside and grabbed the elf by their shoulder, twisting them around. He gasped. Black pits peered back from where the elves' eyes should have been. Blood crusted their cheekbones. "Don't you see?" the elf cackled. Spittle bubbled on their lips. "Count yourself fortunate I saw too much." Jacob drew his sword. "Sorry, friend," he muttered, stepping close and driving his blade through the elf's heart. The eyeless soldier smiled as Jacob laid them down against the rock. "May you shine forever in Race's light." Bloody animal burned itself out, Bayer said. "See what happens when they're not taken in hand? Self-destruction." Jacob wiped his blade clean on the sodden grass. "There'll be more too. The elves wanted vengeance. I reckon many of them drew more magic than they could handle. You saw the fires." Bayer nodded. "Can still smell what they burned. Nothing compares to the stench of charred skin and bone. Remember their fury, Jacob. It could be us next. Don't trust them." "Go back to Springhaven," Jacob grunted. He took a deep breath and turned to his ally. "Celebrate. Rest. There's more fighting to come. The first people aren't beaten yet." Bayer grimaced. "If you think they aren't beaten, you haven't looked at their battle lines. We have a bigger problem than the first people now. Trust me." "Are you talking about the elves again?" Bayer attracted rumours like horse dung did flies, but maggers could clean wounds, they said. "No, not just then. Our clans united over a common enemy. With the first people defeated, we argue enough as it is. War brought us together. We'll need a new enemy to maintain the alliance." "Over here, I found him." Jacob spun to find Trell striding towards him. A Sparker, the woman shared blood with Jacob's wife. They clasped hands and Jacob welcomed the opportunity to break stairs with Bayer. A fever lurked behind the man's eyes. He tasted war, addictive as Octarian spice. "Well met," Jacob grinned, reveling in one less soul to mourn. "What news?" Trell paused, a look of concentration flashing in her eyes as she communicated with the other Sparkers. Their connection had made Jacob nervous once, envious once, but after fighting alongside them against the first people, that envy had vanished. He saw the toll their magic took on them, the target it put on their backs. The first people slaughtered Sparkers any chance they got, and these weren't just people they fought alongside. A Sparker would only link with those they shared a deep connection with, a parent, a loved one, a lifelong companion, and they felt them die in their minds. "A funny thing," Trell said, blinking and meeting Jacob's eyes. He saw pain there, anguish he couldn't fathom. "Sparkers across Helpville are reporting the same thing. The first people are rooted. Human and elven armies are running riot as the word spreads. They're fleeing, Jacob. We've won." "Fleeing?" He shook his head, unable to believe the news. It felt too easy. The first people wouldn't just give up. Where? Why? "North. It seems they're heading for Solitude, that fortress they have up there. Reports from all over the continent say the same. Battles and skirmishes near Noom, Galavan's Seat, Lyra. They've stopped fighting." "Solitude. I've seen it," Jacob said, suppressing a shiver. The battlement stretched across a thin neck of land, built into a pass where the towering mountains, the peaks of eternity, met, then looped in a circle around lands of slate and sparse forests. No one lived there, though elves said they built it for the first people centuries before. They could hold that place against anything we can throw against them. "That's just it." Trell laid a hand on Jacob's forearm. "We've eyes up there already. The first people aren't fortifying the place. They're moving beyond it." "Madness." "Jacob, there's more. They haven't used a spark against us since their retreat. As far as I can tell, the first people just stopped using it, all at the same time." A yell from Bayer interrupted them. He staggered into Jacob as a blood-crusted figure on the ground grabbed his leg. Bayer shook him off. The figure gasped as if the breath he'd sucked in burned his lungs, then heaved onto his back. "Look," Trell hissed. "One of the first people." Jacob's eyes confirmed it. Beneath the filth he saw the man's milk-white skin, his fair, almost colourless hair. Jacob stared at the first, and it met his eyes with a yellow stare tinged with grey. Bayer raised his mace, murder etched into his features. "Stop!" Jacob cried, throwing out a hand. Bayer glared at him. "I want answers." He crouched and pulled the soldier into a sitting position. "Can you hear me? What's your name?" Contempt snaked across the first's face before a look of fear mingled with despair replaced it. He swallowed, then nodded. "Bal." Bow, Jacob repeated. Your people have fled, and make no mistake, you're not long for this world. My people would sooner tear one of your kind limb from limb than take you prisoner, not to mention what the elves would do to you. With good reason, Bayer muttered. I'll give them that. Bow continued to stare at Jacob. Blood dripped from the side of his head. Jacob glanced at it and nodded. He'd seen a killing blow like it more than once. The first didn't have long left. Jacob, Trell said, I should be able to sense another sparker's power. He's empty, but he's not burned out. It's like someone ripped the spark from his soul. There's nothing, not a single trace of it. A sob escaped Bow's throat. Our punishment, he whimpered. I welcome death. Give it to me, please. Rather that than live without the spark. Jacob unsheathed his sword and laid the point against the first chest. What happened, he demanded. I'll give you your death, nice and quick. Just tell me. Muir took it from us, the spark. It seeks to teach us a lesson. I hear it in my mind even now, telling me to return to the source, to accept my punishment, to renew ourselves. It's ruined us. Bow's fingers clenched, his eyes grew wide. How could Muir do this to us, defy us like this? Don't speak such drock, Trell said. Trell spat. The spark doesn't talk to us. Bow, near death, gave her a withering stare. What is Muir? Jacob asked, pulling the first attention back to him. Bow shook his head. That's all you'll get from me, human, he sneered. Your pet has told you where my people flee. Watch Solitude well. The first people shall return. We'll triumph over Muir one way or another. We'll have our revenge and take back what's ours. You won't. Jacob gripped Bow's shoulder, intent on living up to his promise. Before he could, the buyer swung his mace with a snarl, snapping the first head back. The warrior slumped to the ground, legs twitching as Bayer swung again, beating his skull into the blood-thick mud. Trell held Jacob back as he watched the slaughter. With a laugh, Bayer turned, happy with his work. More food for the crows. Jacob looked away. He held no love for the first people, but Bayer's ferocity sickened him. Spread the word, he said, nodding to Tell. Notify any sparky you can. Harry the first people beyond Solitude and fortify it behind them. Trell smiled. Anything else? Watch the elves, Bayer muttered, staring at the bodies by his feet. Jacob turned on him, weapon in hand. Leave us, now. No more of that talk where I can hear, understand? Whether you hear it or not, friend, people will talk. They know what needs to be done. Jacob slammed his blade into his sheath and watched Bayer depart before surveying the killing field. The cries of the dying still rang in his ears. He stared down at Bow, noticing the look of contempt frozen on the corpse's features. That one's trouble, Trell glared at Bayer as the battle's smoke swallowed him. Problem is, he's popular, a brave, honoured fighter, and too many share his convictions. Aye. You're more right than wrong, I fear. Tell the Sparkers to prepare. This isn't over. If our allies don't believe us, if they fall to fight amongst themselves or turn on against the elves even, then the gods know what Springhaven will see the work done. One day, the first will return and seek revenge. Bow's words rang true in my heart. Race help us if we're not ready. That's the end of the prologue. And it goes into many twists and turns and whatever else goes on in the story. So hopefully you enjoyed that. The prologue is, the pre-order link is just below if you want to kind of have a look at that one. Why are you wearing a woolly hat indoors? Well, the reason I'm doing that is because I've not shaved my head for a little while, and I'm not completely bald. Like, I'm mostly bald, so it grows very, very patchy. So it looks horrendous. So it was either, shave before I came on or wear a hat, and I didn't have time to shave my head. So this is why. It's quite warm. A step above a beast. Yeah. That's one of the themes of the book is xenophobia and people just thinking that they're better than other people just because of where they were born or who they were born to and that kind of stuff. Isn't kind of a racist society. There is all kinds of like skin colors and everything like that. Like, that's something I didn't really want to kind of go into, but more with like you know, Hauptwelt is like a very, it's kind of based a little bit on the Roman Empire when they were expanding, and they were, you know, assimilating other countries and cultures quite quickly. But whereas like the Roman Empire would assimilate those cultures and kind of like be like, yeah, that's fine, and in a lot of ways it adapts them. Hauptwelt would not do that. They are very much like, this is our way, we're better than everyone else, and that's it. They have the reasons for it, and that gets revealed sometime in the book. So yeah, I'm going to just have a look at the last few comments, and then I'm going to tell you all what the title of book 2 is. Now, some people may know, because there might be people who are reviewing the book at the moment, and the title of the second book is in the back of the book. So, because it's out, I think September. I think we're looking to bring that one out. So yeah, that is there. So some people might know. Well done. Thank you, Neen. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Chris. Chris has been very supportive of this book from way long time ago, when I think almost this time last year I started writing it. Reading that as Christopher Walken. Fantastic work. You know, if everyone's ever talking to Patrick, ask him to do his Christopher Walken impression. It is brilliant. So there's a couple of questions, so I'm going to do the title. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to keep the 3-word thing, because I have really bad OCD, seriously bad OCD. So when I was kind of thinking of the title, because I named the first one in Solitude's Shadow, and I was like, I have to name the next one with 3 words, otherwise I wouldn't be able to even work on it. Like, I'd be annoyed working on the book, and then I'd be annoyed looking at it on my shelf and everything like that. So, so the third one will have to be 3 words as well. So I wanted to do that, but also like I wanted it to tie into the theme of the book. So in Solitude's Shadow is very much, obviously there's a place called Solitude, and you know, there's some people that live in the shadow of solitude, which is like, so it's very kind of like, you know, simple in that way, but also it's one of the themes of the book is estranged people. So people that are in these positions where they've made themselves alone through decisions that they've made, and it's how they come to terms with that, or if they come to terms with that. So that's why like the in solitude shadow thing comes from as well. So it ties into that. So I wanted something that would do the same thing. So the second book is very much, not to say the first book is all set up, because there's lots of action in it as well, and there's you know, it builds to a big kind of crescendo at the end, I suppose you could say. But the second one then very much follows straight on from it. It's the same story, it's the same characters, there's some new characters in it, but it's straight from the ending, it goes into the next story, right? And so it's bigger, the scope is bigger, there's more sort of stakes as well. There's a plan that's kind of running through the first book that comes to fruition, and it kind of, then we see that in the second book. So obviously the series is called The Empire of Ruin, which is why the prologue was called The Seeds of Ruin. So the second book is called Empire of Ruin, Book 2, Path of War, which I quite like. I like it's just simple and nice, and also the cover is amazing. And we'll be showing the cover whenever. But the cover is actually going to be in the back of the book, for not the one that's currently being reviewed. It's going to be in the ebook, and it's going to be in the paperback and the hardback. And so the cover for Path of War, Book 2 of The Empire of Ruin, is there. So you'll see it there. So we'll probably do a cover reveal before the 4th of June. I love the cover for the first book. I think the second book's cover is even better. So I hope you all like it. And I hope you like the title as well, Path of War. It's a weird one. There's no other books called that on Amazon that I found either. And there wasn't any for In Solitude Shadow as well, which is great, which is a learning thing for me, because when I did Dead Man Walking, there's about 20 movies and about 50 books called Dead Man Walking. So learning curve. We're on it. We're getting there. So I hope you like the title, and I hope you like the prologue. Sorry, I skipped a question. Having written the prologue last, did you need to go back into the main story? Yes. Well, yes and no. Chris Hewitt was my first beta reader for this. What I would do is I would write 3 chapters, send him off the 3 chapters, work on the next 3 while he read them, and I'd look at his notes and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously it got accepted, and then Michelle from Erie River, who's just come onto the thing, had some notes on it as well. And one of those, I wanted to do a prologue, but I didn't have time to do it for the submission window, so I was able to go back to it. So I did the notes that Michelle gave me. So I basically went through line by line through the whole story, put in an extra chapter, did some extra bits, and then I was like, right, I've got this story, I've read it so many times now, I'll go back and do the prologue. So yeah, it was the last thing that I kind of did fully from start to finish, and but it was an idea that I'd had for a while, and the idea that I had for Dark Magic, the Drabbles book coming from Erie River, I actually distilled the prologue into a Drabble, not with any of the same names or anything, but that idea of someone finding someone on the battlefield that have completely burned out, and so that's in there. So when you're reading that Magic and you come across that one, you've heard this prologue, or you've read this prologue, you'll probably recognize it. So that's not what I saw. I had the idea for a while, and then I was like able to go back and do it. Yeah, the elves, they're having a tough time. Yeah, it's not a great world for them, unfortunately. They've been kind of persecuted their entire existence, first by the first people, and then when whatever the Hauptveld Empire becomes into, and I kind of wanted to get away from, I didn't want to, I mean, I'm a big fantasy fan, and I don't mind people doing fantasy tropes. I don't mind elves being elves. That's why I like fantasy. But I wanted to do something a little bit different with them. So what I kind of did was I kind of took that, what if you took an elf from Lord of the Rings and then just took everything away from them, like the stuff that they love, like nature and their own people and peace and all this kind of stuff, and took all that away from them and pushed them, kind of like getting a puppy, I suppose, when you get and just being so mean to it and just turning it into this feral kind of thing. Like that's what I wanted to do with the elves. So we come across a few different ones in the story, and yeah, they're interested in a nice bit of. They're an important part of the whole trilogy as well. So yeah, I'm glad that you feel sad for them. But there's some of them, again, like the people on the whole, they're in a bad kind of place, and they're and all that. But we meet some individual ones that you may not sympathise with, Yeah, that is, yeah. Nikki's reviewing it at the moment, just in case. So, shh, no spoilers. Empire Rune, yeah, it's good. Nice, such a great title for the sequel. Works really well as series title too. Thanks very much. And Path of War. So, but be excited for the Untitled Shadow first. But then Path of War is coming very much quickly after. And like I said, we will do the cover reveal before the 4th of June, I would imagine, because it's in the back of the book. And it's a great cover. Hello, Michelle. If there was no Michelle, there'd be no Untitled. Well, there would be an Untitled Shadow, but it'd be quite different, and it'd still be on my hard drive, most likely. It wouldn't be about to come out, and it wouldn't be in some of your people's hands already. So thanks, Michelle. Path of War, such a promising and positive title. Yes, it is. Isn't it all happy? It is dark fantasy. It's not grimdark, but it's towards grimdark. I'd say it was very, very dark fantasy. And the second book, Path of War, is going to be quite a bit darker. It goes to some very harrowing places, which is tricky because you want to kind of keep the kind of brevity at the same time as well. Some of the bits, so like that's something that I kind of have to look at, where I can mine a little bit of like lightheartedness and humor every so often. Especially what happens to some of the characters in the first book. The second book is going to take it up a notch. And what's great about the cover for the second book is that it represents that. It's a much darker cover than the first. I mean, the first one is quite intriguing. It's quite hopeful, I think. You know, you got Colleen on the front with the sword and the magic that she's doing. It's nice, bright, and the second one is quite different. So yeah, they did a great job. Yes, we'll just wait. Not too long. Can't wait. me neither. I have to finish it first. And Dark Fantasy, totally my jam. Mine too. I love it. And there you go. For anyone who's still on, that's where you can go and pre-order In Solitude Shadow right now. Got an ebook. There will be paperback and hardback available. You can get them from Amazon when it comes out, or you can get it from Eerie River's website, or you can actually just ask me and I can sort you out with a signed copy. Some of you have already said that you've wanted one, and if you would just remind me, because I've got some lists, but I'm a very bad list person when I have lists everywhere, which is weird for me, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's the way it is. But I'm going to be going through that list soon and compiling it. So if anyone wants one and you haven't told me already, let me know. I will add you to the list for it. The inside of the book is going to be absolutely beautiful. Michelle has done an amazing job. Wait until you see the map. The map is fantastic. And I'm going to print it off and get it blown up, and I'm going to frame it. It is so good. So there you go. All right. Thank you very much for joining in. Obviously, the book is out in about 3 weeks. Yeah, about 3 weeks, I say less than 3 weeks. So I'm going to be doing a few different things. We'll be doing another map. Yes, map. It's great. It's amazing. We'll be doing a few more things as we get closer. I know Michelle's going to be doing some stuff with Eerie River as well, like how she's going to be doing with Drew Starling tomorrow night, who has launched, his book is out today, Sentinel. It's amazing. I started reading it this morning. I could have got a review copy of it, but I'd actually already pre-ordered it because I couldn't wait. And Drew is a fantastic writer. That is out today. So check it out if you like horror. It is a pure horror story and it is fantastic. It's been getting amazing reviews on Goodreads. The launch party is tomorrow night, so check that out. It's a great book. Also, I have a novelette out today. Right, let's not forget that. So it's the first of the after, or the second of the after series. Trevor Brown's Derelict was first. Mine is next. It's called A Place Beyond the Storm. There's a video for it on this page, and there's one on my YouTube channel. It's a dystopian, apocalyptic story that will take you about an hour and a half to read. It's only 99 cents on ebook. You can get it right now. There is paperbacks available. And it's kind of like my love letter to the Fallout games mixed with Cormac McCarthy's The Road, all right? So yeah, check that out. That's out today as well. But that's going to be like a longer series with like other writers that are going to be doing their standalone books. So it's going to all be compiled into one collection at the end. So it's every 2 weeks. So Jay Sandlin is out next in 2 weeks' time. So you can get that today for mine. Or you can get it from godless.com. If you're going to get it, you think about getting it, it's only £1 or $1. Go to godless.com and get it from there, because you get to have more choice of what you can download and everything like that, and you'll keep it forever, unlike on Amazon. All right, so that's that. So keep on watching. Thanks for your support, and thanks for all the comments through this whole kind of since In Solitude Shadow has been announced. You know, it's been great that people are interested in it. I'm really proud of the book. The first few reviews that are coming have been very positive. And, you know, I think that people will enjoy it. So, and I've enjoyed the whole process, and I'm enjoying writing the second book, which I think hopefully is going to be even better than the first. So tune in for that. Keep tuned, and definitely come back on tomorrow. Thanks, Nika. Michelle did have loads of fun making that map, of course. And come back tomorrow for Drew Starling's launch of Sentinel. Go and check it out. Check it out on Goodreads. It's got 27 reviews or something. It's like 4.68. It's like it's getting great reviews. Go check it out. All right. Thank you very much for joining me with me tonight, and I will speak to you all soon. Thank you.